WrestleManiacs, Maniacs. This is the podcast. It's called WrestleManiacs. Adam, Donna, Indy, and Josh. They're now together forever and son. WrestleManiacs. This is the podcast. It's called WrestleManiacs. WWE, AEW, TNA, JPW. WrestleManiacs.
Good evening, WrestleManiacs. Here we are, one hell of a Monday Night Raw tonight. As you can see, it's just me this week on the inaugural WrestleManiacs podcast for WWE Raw on April the 15th, 2024. Again, it's Gamer Peroski here, and tonight we had one hell of a Monday Night Raw show. And again, this Raw was quite newsworthy. We had some new tag team titles introduced. We had Rhea Ripley. I have some news for her World Championship, as well as an Intercontinental Main Event Title Championship match tonight. So again, without further ado, let's get started. We started out the evening actually kind of backstage watching Cody Rhodes arrive to the arena. Jey Uso arrive as well. Also, Damian Priest arriving, the new World Heavyweight Champion, as well as, of course, the fan favorite in Montreal tonight, Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, ready for his main event match versus Chad Gable. So what we actually start out with tonight is an in-ring promo with Rhea Ripley surprisingly coming out in a cast. We actually had her in an arm sling tonight, walking out, as you can imagine, heartbroken, looking at the crowd, kind of pissed off, I dare say, and she referenced that earlier in the promo. So anyways, we get started with her in the middle of the ring with Adam Pearce behind her holding the World Heavyweight Championship from the women's division, basically saying that she was injured. She is not able to defend the title, and she'll be gone for a couple of months. And admittedly, what I like about this promo is she mentions that she's pissed off about it. She's not really happy about having to give up the world title, that she gave us everything she had at WrestleMania in the past couple of months, or almost really a year, I should say. And now she's having to give up the title. And she actually references Liv Morgan, saying that she is the one that actually, injured her last week on Monday Night Raw with her Monday Night Raw backstage attack that we talked about last week, me and Donna. So here she is having to give up the championship and vows revenge, saying that while Liv Morgan may have her revenge tour, it's going to be nothing in comparison to Rhea Ripley's revenge tour. And when she comes back, whoever's holding this World Heavyweight Championship, she's coming for blood. She's out for blood. So what we actually get in the middle of her promo is actually Liv Morgan coming out, just laughing, just basically rubbing it in her face, saying that, hey, look, it is now my turn, tit for tat. Essentially, you took me out for a year, and now I've taken you out for a couple of months, and now having you give up the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, Rhea Ripley jumps out of the ring, basically having to be held back by security, and Adam Pearce saying, don't fight her. Liv Morgan having to be held back and then being separated. So quite an interesting opening segment, not only with Rhea having to give up the World Heavyweight Championship for the women's division, but also having Liv Morgan, I would dare say this was almost kind of a mini heel turn. I mean, we have a little promo from her later on that we'll talk about, but I would definitely say this was an interesting start. So after we go to commercial break, we come back and we see Rhea Ripley come up to the Judgment Day, standing there, all four of them, and have a big giant group hug and basically saying, look, you are world champion, you're our Mami, and essentially, when you come back, you're going to be kicking ass. So really kind of a nice way to send off Rhea Ripley, as well as they kind of talk about just really how great of a champion she was. We then get a promo backstage of a shadow of the Celtic Warrior Sheamus, essentially hyping his return for Monday Night Raw coming up next. So when we come back again from commercial, we have Sheamus in really great looking form coming out. Essentially, you could tell he's happy to be back. He's been gone for 8 months or so. The announcers kept hyping that he's been gone for almost a year, 8 months or so on injury. And he's really hyped for his return. So surprisingly, at least to me, his first opponent back is actually Ivar of the Viking Raiders. Match was pretty good. I would dare say it's a hard-hitting match. Pretty impressive moments during this match, especially a white noise from the top rope from Sheamus holding Ivar over his shoulder from the top turnbuckle, essentially hitting a white noise. Ends up hitting him with a with his finisher, the pump kick, essentially. And he wins. I'm kind of surprised in a way. I mean, I'm glad that Sheamus won. Don't get me wrong. I expected that. I expected kind of a shining light on Sheamus's return. But I'll be honest with you, I was kind of hoping there was going to be an Ivar attack after the match or something with, a feud, because I wouldn't really mind a Sheamus versus Ivar feud. I think that'd be pretty interesting. And so again, we have that match, but nothing came of it. It really was Sheamus won. Essentially, that was it for the match. So again, it was a pretty interesting night for Sheamus's return. And so after this, what we actually get, what I love, is WWE is very good about their hype videos. They're so great at kind of setting up a match, setting up a tone, setting up kind of what's to be expected coming later on. And we had this really great hype video showing friendship between Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. Now, I remember thinking to myself while watching this, thinking, it's a really good video, but why are they hyping so much that they're friends? I mean, we've really seen these characters interact, maybe in the last couple of weeks leading up to the challenge to Gunther, but I can't really say it's like a Sami and KO relationship. So why, oh why, are WWE showing this video about Chad Gable's his friend? They're all friends. They're really good friends. So I don't know. Again, I thought that was a really interesting promo. Again, WWE is top-notch whenever it comes to their hype videos for the Intercontinental Championship match. So I thought that was pretty cool. So what we get next after that is actually Triple H comes out, to my surprise, walks out to the ring, and there is a table with a black tarp over it, looking like a new championship. Now, admittedly, I initially thought it was going to be maybe a Cody Rhodes new championship, but looking a little closer, I saw it was 2 titles underneath there. So at that point, to no one's surprise, he brings out the Raw Tag Team Champions, Miz and R-Truth, Awesome Truth, and pretty much introduces the new WWE World Tag Team Championships, now called the World Tag Team titles, according to Triple H, to Miz and R-Truth. And, these titles are pretty nice. They're gold, finally. They're not silver. They don't look like they're secondary titles. They really look like almost I dare say, a copy of the World Heavyweight Championship. So it seems like on each show, they're probably going to have some similar type of design, similar type of color scheme. And I'll be honest with you, I'm all for it. Again, I'm not a real big fan of the red part of the red World Heavyweight Championship naming plate, but I get it. It is Raw. And again, if they're going to stay on Raw and they're not going to move over, I'm all for it. Of course, we get some R-Truth silliness here. R-Truth talks about, where is Triple H? Where is Triple H? Because he's not recognizing Triple H. He's thinking Triple H is Tommaso Ciampa. And of course, he sees Tommaso Ciampa as Triple H. So you can imagine there's comedy that ensues there. Also calls Triple H a magician, saying that he made the new World Tag Team titles come out of thin oxygen, not air. And again, Triple H just finally says, look, Miz, you handle this. I got to go. Can I please go? Here's your World Tag Team titles. Takes the old titles, brings in the new championships, and gives it to Miz and R-Truth. So really, it's kind of exciting. I know that Dada here on the channel and on her channel has been hyping up that she wants new World Tag Team Champions. She wants a title split. And Dada, if you're listening, you've actually got your wish finally, and new championships. Really cool looking championships. So again, that leads into our next segment that we actually have for a #1 contenders match for those World Tag Team title championships. And it's actually DIY of Ciampa and Gargano versus the Creed brothers versus the New Day. Now, surprisingly, when watching this match, of course, it's a great match with a lot of suplexes, a lot of showcasing of, Dr. here you are. Yeah, you're happy. I finally got your wish. Yes, I'm happy you got your wish too, Dr. I think the WWE Universe and wrestling as a whole is going to love actually having separate World Tag Team Champions after all this time. So good on you, Dr. You definitely were the one leading the charge on that. So thanks for leading that. And it looks like you got us out of Egypt into the promised land with the new tag team championship split. So thanks for that. Again, going back to the match, we actually really didn't have a heel team here, which I was a little surprised. We actually had 3 babyface teams, leading it out. And we had, my goodness, what different spots. We had let's say over the head suplexes from, of course, Julius Creed over on everybody. And actually, surprisingly, we got DIY here actually picking up the win in this triple threat tag team match. Again, a great match. I would dare say if you have some time, I definitely would go watch it if you missed it. I thought it was a pretty good athletic match. And it looks like we're going to have DIY, or probably from R-Truth segments. I'm sure in the future we're going to have a DX style feud versus R-Truth and Miz. So again, great match here. Again, a great selection. Again, I was a little surprised at a babyface team, but It's something different. So again, no problems there at all. So I did like that. And we did actually have a start of this whole French thing. I'm calling not Montreal, but Montreal. So I thought that was a really interesting thing that we've been having here tonight. So we actually have an interview after that with Drew McIntyre in the back, basically watching what happened at the main event last week whenever Jey Uso actually won due to CM Punk's interference. So, of course, they turned to him asking Drew, you know, what do you think? What's going to happen? And Drew kind of laughs, says nothing, gets a serious look on his face, and just kicks the TV off of its stand. So, I mean, you know, believe it or not, I actually like this promo because really Drew's so mad he has nothing to say. This has probably been one of the most underrated, I would say, feuds so far between him and CM Punk. CM Punk not really being there, but only a couple of weeks. So I definitely am loving this feud. I'm loving how CM Punk's kind of trolling McIntyre back when McIntyre has been trolling everybody else and CM Punk for the last couple of weeks. So very small kind of interaction with Drew McIntyre this week, but I really did like that we only got one segment. It's pretty neat to kind of get that message across without having to overkill it. So I thought that was pretty cool. What we have next is a tag team match with Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae versus Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. This match was okay. Again, we've kind of seen the combination of this match. It seems like every week, it seems like we always see this match with Ivy Nile either picking up the win or Candice LeRae winning over, some nefarious means. But actually, for the first time, we got kind of a distraction from Candice and Indy Hartwell. A little bit of underhanded tactic, let's just say, from Indy Hartwell for their team to pick up the win. Can I say I care about this feud? Not necessarily. It's a good little bitty story, but I'm kind of hoping for a little bit more here. I'm kind of wanting a little bit more. I don't want to say pizzazz because that's kind of a buzzword, but I guess I want some more heat. I want Indy and Candice to finally just snap, just beat the heck out of Nile and beat the heck out of Maxine Dupree. I don't know. Again, I want a little bit more story. There is a story there. Don't get me wrong. There is, but I still want a little bit more aggressiveness. So hopefully we'll get that. But again, you never know. So after this match, we actually get a really awesome, I think, hype video about Damian Priest, our new World Heavyweight Champion. If you don't know who he is by now, after that video, you definitely knew where he came from, his NXT days, his background. He's the first Puerto Rican champion, I think, in I believe it's 50, 60 years or so. So definitely a historical champion at this point. And what I love from this video, we actually go back to the Judgment Day backstage, sans, of course, Rhea Ripley as she's left the building. Basically talking about, Dom go out there and take care of business. Basically the match versus Andrade. He's going to go out there and take care of business. JD follows. And then we get a little interesting piece of, I think, something pretty interesting. We're starting to get this little bitty crack in the friendship, let's say, between Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Finn Balor basically saying, look, I think we should focus on getting the Judgment Day, the tag team titles back. And Damian's like, no, don't worry about that right now. We need to focus, you specifically, Finn, need to focus on going out there and being the prince and basically beat Jey Uso. And so that I can get him some pain on Jey Uso at Backlash. So what I liked about this segment is that Finn kind of was like, okay, brother, sure, no problem, brother. And just the usage of that word brother is very, I don't know. I just like the subtlety of it that, you can tell there's kind of a crack. Like Finn smiled, but there really wasn't this sort of happy, we're brothers smile. It was kind of like, all right, I'll let you get by with it this week. But next week, don't forget. The whole moniker of the Judgment Day, remember, is there are no leaders in Judgment Day. There's not supposed to be a leader of the Judgment Day. It's individuals all coming together for a common goal together, but no one person leads. So we had a little bit of tension between Damian and Rhea for the last couple of months. And now I think we're going to get that started between Finn and Damian Priest. So really interesting. I really am liking this kind of slow build that we're going to probably have Damian Priest, I imagine, leave the Judgment Day. But again, the best part about this era is long story term telling. But as we saw from the Bloodline feud recently, quite worth the wait for sure. So what we get next is actually Andrade versus Dominic Mysterio. I would say an inoffensive match. I couldn't tell you it was a great match. My one problem, I guess, I would have with the match is we had a Canadian Destroyer from Dominic Mysterio to Andrade on the outside onto the apron. Pretty brutal. Definitely something I didn't expect from them two. But what I didn't like is after that, shortly thereafter, Andrade is able to hit JD McDonough from interfering, hit Dominic with his DDT finisher and win. Now, granted, again, we see this all the time in AEW. We see it in WWE, where sometimes we get these amazing athletic moves, but nobody sells it. Now, go back 25 years, even really 10 years ago, something like that probably would have had Andrade taken out on a stretcher. It would have been Dominic's a terrible person, but again, we kind of just move on the apron. The apron spot to me seems like it's kind of been overused at this point because everybody uses it. Everybody hits DDTs and stuff. And I don't know. I just remember thinking back to when Sami Zayn and KO did this in NXT. If you don't remember history or you weren't there watching, basically Sami won the NXT championship. Essentially, Kevin Owens hugged him, then powerbombed him on the apron. Really shocking, and took him out for a couple of weeks. But here we have Andrade going from a Canadian destroyer, getting up and winning the match. So again, overall, an inoffensive match. Not a bad match at all, but still, I kind of wanted a little bit more of a story. Maybe they should have had it where Andrade was taken out. And we had the story of, you broke Andrade's neck. I don't know. Again, old school booking maybe, but definitely a pretty decent match. After Andrade wins as well, they, of course, jump MJD and Dominic Mysterio. And we actually have Ricochet come out for the save. And so we're probably going to lead to a tag team match next week, I imagine, which, again, inoffensive as can be, that's fine. But I don't know. I'm hoping there's more of a story because it seems like we've just kind of had this back and forth. There needs to be a little bit more, I think. So what we then go to is a interview segment earlier in the day with Chad Gable actually doing some training and doing some sparring with it looked like Brutus Creed. I'm not sure, maybe the other Creed brother in the ring, basically just running back and forth, kind of, running drills and getting ready for Sami Zayn that night. They talked to Master Gable, and basically there's two lines that I really, really enjoyed in this thing. It's everything to win this title tonight. Excuse me. And also he said as well that Master Gable has been training with Sami Zayn for a couple of weeks, and I know his weaknesses. To me, again, this plays into the story later on, and we'll talk about it, but I definitely loved this segment because you can kind of see this sort of, we're still friends, but everything relies on me winning this championship tonight. So I really, really, really liked how this came about. After this, we actually get an interview with Jay about the SmackDown attack on his brother Jimmy Uso by Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. And you can kind of tell Jay's conflicted about it. He gives this look, and he even says it. He says, look, I told him to come with me. This is the bloodline. This is something that they do. But tonight, let's just focus on Finn Balor and getting that World Heavyweight Championship. The promo was okay. I kind of like that he was conflicted, although I wanted a little bit more conviction from him, at least personally, because again, that is your brother. Again, overall, it was all right. It again was continuing the story on SmackDown because those who missed it saw what happened on SmackDown, a big event with Solo, I dare say, presumably, and they've been hinting at it during that segment of, is Solo the new tribal chief? Which tribal chief was Solo talking about when giving the order? So very interesting little story thread that we kept on going here and still tying back into the Jey Uso versus Finn Balor match tonight. Next match we have was Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. And this match was pretty quick, but I really actually loved the finish of this match. What we had is Chelsea Green in peril, basically getting pinned, I believe. And we actually had Piper Niven do a body splash and basically roll over, and Chelsea Green pins for the win. Now, again, you say, we've seen this a couple of times. They've been tag team champions, yes. But to me, this is how you use Piper Niven. You use the fact that she's a battle tank, essentially, in the most respectful way, of course, not being disrespectful at all, but just the fact that she basically is a force to be reckoned with, and basically Chelsea Green takes the win. Now, you could turn this into a feud between them two if you want to. I kind of wonder if that's what this is designed for, but them actually picking up the win, I really was excited because I think Carter and Chance, while they're good athletes, I think they need more character. I think they need a change of scenery because I really have not found myself excited watching them anymore. Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, I definitely have because of their characters. And again, they really just play to their strength, it seems like. So, I dare say I was surprised that Niven and Chelsea Green won, but I really loved the finish. And it really made logical sense that, squash her and pin her. So, again, I would think a pretty decent match. But again, the finish I thought was a really good story to start telling between them two. So, really neat. We then go to a backstage segment again with Cody Rhodes walking towards the ring, basically hyping up that we're going to hear from Cody Rhodes, our new undisputed WWE Universal Champion. And then we also come back and have an interview with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, I dare say, is almost in near full heel mode here, talking about, how fitting it is, shoulder for a shoulder. You took out my shoulder, and funny, I took out your shoulder. And she said the best part of this Liv Morgan revenge tour isn't the fact that I took out Rhea Ripley. It's that once I become the new women's world championship. So pretty good promo from Liv Morgan. Definitely a little bit more heel persona. And I thought it was interesting that with WWE, it seems like now under the Paul Levesque era, we really don't have things that are just happenstantial, right? They're not just by coincidence. There's always some reason why she's not wearing a white shirt versus a black shirt, why we now have that revenge tour. So I really like this. I really like this Liv Morgan character change. While Rhea's gone, we need a new fresh heel besides Nia Jax. So, hey, let's go for it. I'm all for it. So then we get a promo from Cody Rhodes coming out to the ring and playing into, again, the Montreal thing tonight. We basically have him ask, Montreal, what do you want to talk about in French? So I thought that was a cool little thing, cool little babyface thing you never really see. But they really played to the French crowd. And tonight, before he even started talking, you had the chance of ole, 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 ole for Sammy. But he ends up holding the World Heavyweight Championship, and it switches back to Cody chants. So really subtle, good babyface work there, good crowd psychology. Basically talks about Seth Rollins and says, I know you're going to be my shield, so thanks for being my shield. References about The Rock, saying that, Rock has one more match in him, but he really feels he has a lot more. And basically says, look, you told me I'd bleed again, and maybe I will, Rock. Maybe I'll bleed. But you'll be bleeding with me the next time we meet. So thought that was pretty neat. Also talks about the bloodline and referring to Tama Tonga by the order of the tribal chief. Basically reinforcing that idea is, who was Solo talking about by orders of the tribal chief? Is he referencing Roman? Is he referencing himself? There's a really interesting thread that they're trying to thread this idea of who is the tribal chief? Who was the tribal chief that Solo was referring to? So really neat. Actually brings out a buddy of his, bringing out main event Jey Uso. Basically congratulates him for getting a chance at the World Heavyweight Championship. Basically saying, look, I got your back if you need me. Jey says, I don't need you. I'm going to do this match by myself. Don't need your backup. But what was really a cool visual, and I really love about WWE now and their new visuals, is that they're showing the crowd, the entire arena, doing the up and down, I dare say the yeet dance. I'm not sure what you'd call it, Uso dance maybe, with the entire crowd doing it with Jey Uso. So Jey Uso was over. And again, do I feel he's going to become World Heavyweight Champion versus Damian Priest? No. I think he'll just be some fodder for the Dragon to eat at this point. But you can definitely see that there's a groundswell. And again, I wouldn't be opposed to Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso title match later on down the line, and maybe that's kind of what they're referencing. But and Cody Rhodes, of course, some say he's funny, some say he's cringe. Until we yeet again to Jey Uso as he leaves the ring. So pretty decent promo from Cody Rhodes. Didn't drag on like it did the week prior, but definitely also references who he's going to face. Will it be AJ Styles? Will it be LA Knight? Took kind of a crowd temperature of that, of course. Cheers for LA Knight, boos for AJ. I personally think it'll be AJ, just my guess. But decent Cody Rhodes promo, nothing too crazy one way or the other. So then we come to our semi-main event of Finn Balor versus Jey Uso. And I say semi-main event loosely. This match was probably seemingly one of the shorter matches of the night. I was really surprised. I really did not like this match. I felt that I hate to say it, it really buried Finn Balor. I mean, yes, Finn Balor was going to hit his drop kick in the corner. Yes, he hit the coup, or he was going to hit the coup de grace. But I still just did not expect this sort of shortness and length of this match. I think it was like 9:15 or so when this match started. It was maybe 9:20, 9:30 when it was over. I don't know. I really did not feel like Jey Uso was in any peril here at all with Finn Balor. I felt that it was pretty much, again, we kind of knew telegraphed it was going to be Jey Uso winning. But what really surprised me is after he beat Finn Balor pretty cleanly. I mean, spear, Uso splash, that was it, 1, 2, 3. We have Damian Priest coming out, standing on the middle rope, basically just taunting him and basically saying, look, I'm the world champion, you're going to fight me, and that's going to be it. But I'm curious now, I'm hoping what we get next week is Finn Balor saying, where were you, man? You're supposed to help me win this match instead of letting me get beat. So I'm hoping for the sake there's a portion of that story and there's a reason as to why we didn't get that sort of interaction that I expected between Jey Uso and Damian Priest. So again, a decent same main event match, but definitely not what I think they could have done. I thought it was a really poorly done semi-main event. I really wanted more action here. So again, that's just me, but what I did like though, however, is at the end, Jey Uso was actually jumped by Judgment Day. So as he was staring down with Damian Priest, he got jumped by the Judgment Day, actually ran away and got away, went up to the crowd, through the concession stand, all the way out the door, and then runs into Sami Zayn. A little comical given he was beaten up, but Sami's just kind of standing there looking up like this at the stars seemingly, or the building. And says, hey man, what you looking at? Almost as if instead of saying, hey, I was just beaten up a little bit ago, you could have come helped me, even though he was outside. I don't know. I love the thread of the cameraman going from one segment to the other, but it was kind of strange that Sami's just kind of sitting there and he's like, hey man, what's up? It's like it was no big deal. Sami Zayn, of course, talks about, 25 years ago, he was in this building and this is his hometown. He grew up 45 minutes away from here. Now he enters his hometown as a champion, the Intercontinental Champion, and basically is ready to go and ready to fight and defend his Intercontinental Championship in his hometown. So what we have is Jey Uso walks off. Sami Zayn walks in, and the cameraman actually follows him into the building. So it was a really cool shot of Jey Uso leaving, the crowd cheering him on, and people in the atrium cheering him on as he leaves. Here comes Sami Zayn, and everybody loses their mind. You could hear the atrium just, cheer, cheer, cheer. Come on, Sami, let's go, Sami. And you see the shot of over his shoulder looking into the arena and seeing all those people turn their heads and look at him. And basically, I don't want to call it a Sandman entrance, right? But if you ever seen the Sandman enter an ECW and just go through the whole crowd, basically just having a good time with the crowd and hanging out, that's what we had. We had this Sami Zayn moment of him going through the crowd and going up and down and around, even to commercial break. We had him go straight back into the crowd as well. So really cool visual for his hometown. I think definitely it was kind of a neat little thing to see, given that he lost the last time he was in his hometown versus Roman Reigns last year. So kind of a really cool moment to see the hometown give some love to the hometown hero. So we get into the ring. Out comes Chad Gable. And here we start the main event for the Intercontinental Championship that Sami just won 8 days prior versus Gunther at 666 days, ending that reign, versus Master Gable. This match, I'll tell you, before we start, and again, let me go back, sorry. We actually had an interview quickly with Chad Gable, basically saying, are you ready? And here comes Bronson Reed saying, look, whoever wins this match, you got to answer to me. So this is setting up the next thread of who's going to basically Reed saying, I got next, essentially. So again, sorry, we had that too. But anyways, we go to this main event, and boy, what a main event. This was a great match. Again, I didn't expect anything less, but I tell you what, just the catch wrestling, the amateur background of Gable played into it. We had German suplexes, Suplex City, essentially. We had a really nasty looking German suplex from Sami to Chad Gable, landing really awkwardly on his neck. Almost, I dare say, akin to Sabu and ECW back in the day in a weird angle like this. So had me a little concerned. I'll be honest with you. I was hoping he didn't get a stinger or something like that. I mean, they got me. Again, maybe if it was planned, but it definitely looked pretty nasty. I would say that. Great back and forth, ankle lock to Sami Zayn in the middle of the ring. We had some, I'll just say this. If you can go out of your way to watch this main event, I would dare say this was probably one of the good main events. I really enjoyed this Intercontinental Championship match. Sami had his knee and his ankle worked on by Chad Gable throughout the whole entire match, basically, hitting him in the knee, hitting the ankle lock, things like that. We had a spot where Sami actually wasn't able to hit the haluva kick because of his injured knee/leg, thinking that Chad Gable was going to win. But somehow, some way, the heart of the champion, the grit that is known as Sami Zayn, basically hits a haluva kick and wins and retains his Intercontinental Championship match. There was one thing Pat McAfee said that I did like. He talked about in a correction for an error that he made, basically saying that no one owns the Intercontinental title right now during this match. It's all about either retaining or winning it. So I thought that was a really cool save, a really cool moment for it. Definitely a good way to look at it, that basically during a match, there is no champion, there is no challenger. It is literally both are challengers, and whoever wins is the champion. So I don't know. Again, a small detail, but I'm really enjoying Pat McAfee. It seems like he's getting more comfortable, and he's been at it for a while, but I really like how he's doing this now. So it's really a neat kind of issue. So again, Sami Zayn wins in a really hard-fought battle, and we have it to where, Chad Gable's in the corner crying, essentially just upset. He didn't win the big one. Sami goes over to him, lifts him up. Chad Gable lifts his arm up. Chad Gable exits. And at this point, I'm thinking, all right, man, come on. You got to do something. You can't just give up like that. Surely it's not just going to be going to Bronson Reed. Sami goes out to his wife, who was in attendance. They kept talking about her throughout the match. Basically goes to hug her, love on her. And then all of a sudden, you see somebody lift up Sami a little bit, and you pan back, and it's Chad Gable doing his O'Connor roll suplex, German suplex back. Picks him up, throws him into the post on the other side towards the announcer's desk. And a really cool visual in Monday Night Raw is actually Sami gets on the apron. So does Chad Gable. Chad throws him through the side of the turnbuckle, right? So essentially, if you have the turnbuckle here, here's Sami Zayn halfway through where the ropes are, actually hanging. And you actually have Chad Gable hitting the ankle lock, standing up on the middle rope, giving the ankle lock to Sami as we go off air of Monday Night Raw. So a great visual. Again, I have to say it. Chad Gable has those comparisons to Kurt Angle as the Olympic champion. But I really, really enjoyed this. I mean, throughout the whole entire night, there was that thread of Chad Gable talking about their friends and that, I'm going to do anything I can to win this championship. Now, fantasy booker here, I would have booked actually Sami to lose via nefarious means. And the idea is he's having to fight back and go to France and actually win the championship back, or however we would do that. But maybe that they're saving that for Backlash in France. Who knows? But great match overall. Again, this Raw, I dare say it was more cohesive this week. It was a lot more cohesive. It was very up, down, up, down. There really wasn't very many matches that I disliked. Again, you had the Indy Hartwell Candice LeRae match, again, that I mentioned I wasn't a fan of. The Finn Balor Jey Uso, I wanted to like it, but it was so short. It was almost weird how short it was. Really a good thread for Monday Night Raw. Really a really good, fun Monday Night Raw. And I haven't said that in quite a while. So I definitely think the new Triple H era has begun. You can start seeing that. And we also have a little tease I meant to mention earlier of a QR code talking about possibly Bray Wyatt's brother, Bo Dallas, or Uncle Howdy, whoever it's going to be, basically coming back with a faction. Again, it's very, very quick you miss it type of QR code. I never am able to catch it, so I have to either go back or watch online. So we have another little small subtle thread that's also going throughout the show. Triple H is the thread master. I must say that. If he's going to knit a story, knit and weave a blanket or a rug or what have you, he definitely has it down pat. So again, guys, that's it. What are your thoughts on tonight's shows? What was your favorite match of this week? Was there something that you wish had happened that didn't happen? Do you think that Chad Gable should have won the championship, or do you think Sami Zayn should still reign as the champion? I would love to know your thoughts on tonight's show. Again, comment as well. Make sure to like and subscribe to APlus Hero Report, the WrestleManiacs podcast, as well as click the bell icon to know whenever we go live. We're actually on WrestleManiacs going to do a weekly review of Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and of course, any PLEs that come across. And what you have is a couple of us to follow as well. You've got Gamer Perowski on Twitter down below, as well as you have APlus Opinions at Twitter as well. So make sure to follow us, like, and subscribe again. And I will see you guys and gals, WrestleManiacs, I should say, coming up on Tuesday on NXT. So for now, have a good night, good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Later.